What are nakshatras in Vedic astrology? Nakshatras are the ancient star divisions of the zodiac, deeply rooted in the astronomical sky and essential to Vedic astrology. Unlike the 12 zodiac signs that are solar in nature and seasonal, nakshatras are lunar divisions based on the moon's daily motion and the visible constellations. There are 27 primary nakshatras, each covering 13 degrees and 20 minutes of the 360-degree zodiac, forming the precise framework for lunar-based predictions. From a star perspective, each nakshatra corresponds to one or more fixed stars or visible star clusters. For instance, Rohini is anchored to Aldebaran, the red eye of Taurus, Magha is tied to Regulus, the brightest star in Leo, and Jyeshta links to Antares, the heart of the Scorpion. These are not symbolic associations. They are actual coordinates in the night sky that the ancients observed and codified into astrological meaning. This sky mapping method makes Vedic astrology one of the most astronomically accurate systems in the world. The moon, being the fastest moving planet in Vedic astrology, spends roughly one day in each nakshatra. This movement gives the nakshatras their emotional flavor. Your moon's nakshatra at birth is called your Janma Nakshatra, and it reveals your emotional nature, instincts, mental tendencies, and karmic imprint. This is why the nakshatra is central to dasha calculations, compatibility, and timing life events. What makes nakshatras so powerful is that each one is more than just a set of degrees. They are celestial fields of meaning. Every nakshatra has a ruling deity, a symbolic animal, a planetary ruler, and a specific psychological function or Shakti, power. These sky sectors act as energetic portals or karmic windows through which your destiny unfolds. The stars are not just background, they are active forces. Astronomically, the concept of nakshatras predates the 12-sign solar zodiac. Ancient Vedic seers used star risings and lunar conjunctions with fixed stars to determine sacred timings, agricultural cycles, and ceremonial rituals. This means that nakshatras originally evolved from a stellar calendar system, grounded in nature and sky observation, not just philosophy. Modern astronomy confirms the brilliance of this system. The positions of these star clusters still align with the nakshatra system, as Vedic astrology uses a sidereal, fixed star, zodiac, not a moving tropical one. So while Western astrology may say your moon is in Sagittarius, Vedic astrology might place it in Mula Nakshatra, at the galactic center, a powerful point of transformation and destruction. This connection to real stars means nakshatras help us reclaim the original astrology, where celestial bodies weren't abstract energies, but literal cosmic influences. As you watch the sky and track the moon, you're also tracking your mood, your karma, and your spiritual progress. That's the beauty of nakshatra-based astrology. It's emotional, ancient, predictive, and rooted in starlight. So when you look up at the night sky, remember, those constellations are not just stars. They're the living libraries of your soul's journey, encoded in the nakshatras. While Western astrology is based on the tropical zodiac, which aligns the signs with the seasons, Aries begins at the spring equinox, Vedic astrology uses the sidereal zodiac, which aligns the signs with the actual constellations in the sky. This creates a crucial divergence. Over centuries, due to the precession of the equinoxes, the tropical zodiac has drifted away from the fixed stars. In contrast, nakshatras remain firmly tied to the visible sky, preserving the original astronomical alignment. This means that in Western astrology, the focus is more solar, centered on sun sign traits, seasonal cycles, and psychological archetypes. But in Vedic astrology, nakshatras bring a deeper emotional and karmic precision, especially because they're tied to the moon's motion, which governs the mind, instincts, and subtle body. So while the sun represents identity, the moon reveals how we process life emotionally, and this is where nakshatras offer their richest insights. Another major distinction lies in predictive astrology. Western systems often rely on transits and progressions, but Vedic astrology uses the Vimshottari Dasha system, which is completely based on the nakshatra the moon occupied at birth. This Dasha system divides your life into planetary periods, unfolding like chapters in a karmic storybook. The moon's nakshatra determines not just how you feel, but what type of experiences you'll magnetize in certain phases of life. Moreover, each nakshatra has its own symbolism and mythic context, providing a layer of spiritual narrative absent in Western systems. For example, Ashwini is ruled by the twin horsemen, the Ashwini Kumaras, gods of healing and initiation. Bharani is ruled by Yama, the god of death and dharma. These aren't abstract figures. They represent archetypal energies that shape how you meet life's themes, like leadership, destruction, nurturing, or transcendence. Western astrology might tell you that your moon in Sagittarius makes you adventurous or philosophical, but Vedic astrology will ask, is it in Mula Nakshatra, with roots in destruction and transformation? Or in Purva Ashada, linked to Apa, the water goddess, and the power to purify and uplift? These distinctions go beyond personality. They speak to your soul's evolutionary intention. The nakshatras also add granularity to timing, known as muhurta, electional astrology. In Vedic traditions, no major life event, marriage, childbirth, business launch, is initiated without checking the moon's current nakshatra. This is because each nakshatra has a specific energy. Some are good for beginnings, others for endings, travel, warfare, or healing. Western astrology doesn't traditionally offer this kind of minute-by-minute cosmic mapping. Ultimately, the nakshatra system reflects the Vedic approach to life as a spiritual journey shaped by karma and dharma. It doesn't just tell you who you are, it tells you why you are here, what you're working through, and which divine archetype governs your path. In contrast, Western astrology often centers around psychological integration, whereas Vedic astrology, and nakshatras in particular, focuses on spiritual integration and karmic unfolding. In the modern age, as we seek more personalized, precise, and spiritually resonant tools of self-awareness, nakshatras are being rediscovered by students and seekers across the globe. Their power lies in their ability to blend astronomy, mythology, psychology, and karma, all through the lens of stars that have guided humanity for millennia. Nakshatras are not just tools for prediction. They are living blueprints of human nature, mapping everything from your psychological behavior and personality traits to your physical body type, emotional tendencies, and even the karmic lessons your soul has chosen for this lifetime. Each nakshatra acts like a cosmic fingerprint, offering multi-layered insight that goes far beyond what zodiac signs alone can reveal. At the most personal level, your Janma Nakshatra, the nakshatra where the moon was placed at the time of your birth, reflects your mind's conditioning, your emotional temperament, and your default mode of reacting to life. For example, someone born under Ashlasha may display intense emotional intelligence, secrecy, and coiled inner power, much like its serpent symbolism. On the other hand, someone with the moon in Pushya is naturally nurturing, devotional, and service-oriented, with a grounded and structured emotional core. From a body-based perspective, classical Vedic texts and nakshatra lore also describe physical attributes associated with each star segment. For instance, Bharani natives often have well-developed sensuous bodies, strong appetites, and intense magnetic eyes, reflecting their rulership by Venus and deity Yama, who governs life and death. Rohini natives, ruled by the moon and associated with growth and fertility, are typically attractive, charming, and physically well-proportioned, often drawing admiration effortlessly. But where nakshatras go even deeper is in their connection to the soul's evolutionary journey. Each nakshatra has a built-in Shakti, a unique power or capacity. This Shakti reveals what the soul is here to master or express in this incarnation. For example, Chitra Nakshatra has the Shakti to accumulate merit through righteous action, making its natives driven toward creative excellence and ethical leadership. Mula, ruled by Niriti, the goddess of dissolution, has the power to ruin or break apart, not as a curse, but as a soul-level calling to dismantle illusions and seek root truth. That's why nakshatras are often used in soul path readings, especially through D60, Shastyamsa, or Atmakaraka-based analysis, because they provide the mythic and karmic architecture beneath your physical reality. In fact, the ancient seers saw nakshatras as divine gateways, each one a portal between human life and cosmic intelligence. The deity, symbol, and story attached to a nakshatra are not just cultural myths. They are archetypal energies shaping your fate and free will. Nakshatras also inform our relationships and compatibility, not just through moon sign matching, but through deep energetic resonance. For example, the nakshatra-based Kuda system evaluates factors like mental compatibility Gana, emotional bonding Tara, and longevity of the bond Yoni. These aren't symbolic, they're based on how your emotional rhythms, shaped by your moon's nakshatra, flow with another's. A Chitra native might crave independence and intellectual stimulation, while a Revati person may seek softness and emotional depth. Even your vocation, talents, and ideal environment can be extracted from nakshatra analysis. Someone born under Shatabisha, ruled by Rahu and linked with Varuna, is drawn toward medicine, healing, esoteric sciences, and working in solitary or unconventional environments. In contrast, a Magha native thrives in leadership roles tied to ancestry, legacy, and upholding tradition. These soul paths are not random. They are karmically designed via the nakshatra system. So when we say nakshatras reveal human nature, it's not just a surface-level personality sketch. It's an encoded map of your body, mind, soul, and destiny. It integrates physical form, emotional function, psychological structure, and spiritual blueprint, making it one of the most holistic tools in Vedic astrology. In essence, the nakshatras don't just describe who you are, they remind you of why you are here. The basics of Rohini Nakshatra. Rohini Nakshatra is the fourth lunar mansion in Vedic astrology, spanning from 10 degrees 0 to 23 degrees 20 Taurus. Entirely placed within the sign of Taurus, Rohini is considered one of the most auspicious and magnetic nakshatras. The name Rohini means the red one, or the growing one, signifying fertility, blossoming beauty, and creative potential. It is symbolized by an ox cart or chariot, representing movement, growth, and earthly abundance. Rohini is renowned for its sensual power, artistic refinement, and deeply nurturing nature. Mythological deity. Rohini is presided over by Brahma, the creator god in Vedic mythology. This gives the nakshatra its potent creative and generative force. Rohini represents the cosmic feminine womb, where ideas, desires, and beings take form. In mythology, Rohini was also the favorite consort of the moon, Chandra, which highlights her extraordinary beauty, allure, and emotional receptivity. This divine favoritism also brings both fertility and possessiveness to Rohini's archetype, as it craves both union and loyalty. Shakti power. The Shakti of Rohini is Rohana Shakti, the power to grow, increase, and create. This power expresses itself through physical fertility, material abundance, sensual pleasure, and artistic expression. Natives born under Rohini often possess the ability to nurture and develop whatever they touch, whether it's a relationship, a business, a home, or a child. This nakshatra is strongly associated with growth through beauty, love, and consistency, rather than force or intensity. Ruler. The planetary ruler of Rohini is the moon, which feels most comfortable and exalted in Taurus. This amplifies Rohini's qualities of emotional depth, receptivity, nourishment, and feminine charm. The moon's presence gives Rohini natives a soothing yet magnetic aura, often making them emotionally influential, sensually expressive, and deeply affectionate. However, it can also make them overly attached, moody, or possessive, especially when security feels threatened. Span and star reference. Span, 10 degrees to 23 Taurus. Star reference, Aldebaran, Alpha Tauri, the Eye of the Bull in the Taurus constellation. Aldebaran is one of the brightest stars in the night sky and is traditionally associated with wealth, beauty, and status. This red giant star anchors Rohini's themes of luxury, visibility, emotional charisma, and material fulfillment. The four padas of Rohini Nakshatra. Each pada quarter of Rohini reflects a different dimension of this nakshatra's nurturing and sensual intelligence, based on the corresponding Navamsa. Pada 1, 10 degrees 020 Taurus. Navamsa, Aries. Dispositor, Mars. Star reference, approaching Aldebaran. Nature, energetic, ambitious, physically expressive. This pada expresses the more active and passionate side of Rohini. Natives are sensual but also assertive. They want to create and lead, often channeling their nurturing through movement, physical work, or bold creative acts. Pada 2, 13 degrees 20 to 16 degrees 40. Taurus. Taurus, Venus, star reference, Aldebaran's central gaze. Nature, stable, affectionate, luxurious. This is the most archetypal expression of Rohini energy: calm, magnetic, nurturing, and deeply attractive. These individuals exude beauty, softness, and grace. They often possess refined aesthetic taste, musical talent, and a desire for emotional and physical comfort. Hasta 3, 1640 to 20 Visa, Gemini, Mercury. Spust past Aldebaran, nature, communicative, flirtatious, charming. In this pada, Rohini becomes more verbally expressive and mentally engaging. These individuals use words, music, or writing to nurture and attract. There is a clever playfulness here, often linked to performance, storytelling, or marketing talent. Pada 4, 20 degrees to 23 degrees, Taurus, Camp Moon, star reference, moving beyond Aldebaran, trailing emotional influence. Nature, deeply emotional, protective, maternal. This pada emphasizes emotional nurturing and intuitive bonding. These individuals are sensitive, family-oriented, and empathetic. They often have strong connections to the home, food, motherhood, or healing arts, and can be emotionally magnetic and healing to others. Rohini Nakshatra represents the earthly manifestation of divine creativity, the power to attract, hold, and grow what is loved. Its natives are charmers, nurturers, and cultivators of beauty, gifted with emotional intelligence and artistic refinement. When in balance, they create abundant lives full of comfort, love, and meaningful attachment. When imbalanced, they may struggle with overattachment, possessiveness, or emotional insecurity. Nonetheless, Rohini stands as one of the most graceful and fertile energies in the zodiac, deeply aligned with growth, pleasure, and life's gentle unfolding. Rohini Nakshatra characteristics. Rohini natives are sensual, magnetic, and emotionally expressive individuals, gifted with the power to attract, nurture, and grow. As the moon's favorite nakshatra and entirely housed in Taurus, where the moon is exalted, Rohini carries the perfect synthesis of emotional depth, stability, and beauty. These natives are naturally drawn to experiences that stimulate the senses: food, art, music, nature, affection, and material comfort. They have an innate grace and elegance, often noticeable in their appearance, voice, or aura. At the psychological level, Rohini people tend to be emotionally deep yet soft, with a calm presence that soothes others. They are romantic, affectionate, and nurturing, often playing the emotional anchor in their relationships or families. There's a natural maternal or protective instinct in them, regardless of gender. However, this sweetness can mask strong emotional needs, particularly the need for attention, exclusivity, and reassurance. When those needs go unmet, they may become possessive or emotionally withdrawn. Creatively, Rohini is among the most gifted of nakshatras. Ruled by the moon and associated with Aldebaran, the red giant star of visibility and charisma, Rohini bestows artistic refinement and talent in music, dance, writing, cooking, or interior design. These individuals don't just enjoy beauty, they create it. Their artistic expression is deeply connected to their emotional life, and they often use creativity as a way to process and share their feelings. There is a strong connection to nature and fertility in Rohini. Many natives are drawn to agriculture, gardening, animal care, or working with the land. They often radiate Earth Mother or divine feminine energy, being deeply connected to cycles of growth, nourishment, and protection. Their presence is like a fertile garden, calming, stabilizing, and life-enhancing. However, this can also lead them to cling to comfort and resist change, even when transformation is necessary. In love and relationships, Rohini individuals are devoted, romantic, and emotionally invested. They seek intimacy and emotional security, and often bond through touch, emotional presence, and shared beauty. However, their love can be exclusive to the point of attachment, and they may become jealous or controlling if they feel neglected. They want to feel chosen, adored, and emotionally prioritized. This is central to their sense of worth. Professionally, Rohini natives do well in fields related to art, beauty, luxury, agriculture, fashion, media, hospitality, and childcare. They may also excel in finance or real estate, especially where nurturing and building tangible value is involved. These individuals are consistent workers and often find success through steady effort and charm rather than ambition or aggression. Their calm determination makes them quietly formidable in any field. Despite their softness, Rohini natives are not passive. They have an inner strength rooted in their values and emotional convictions. If threatened or betrayed, they may respond with deep emotional pain or withdrawal, but rarely with explosive anger. Their emotional world is rich, layered, and deeply private, and few people are allowed full access to it. When wounded, they take time to heal and may guard their heart more fiercely going forward. At a soul level, Rohini Nakshatra represents the cosmic garden of creation, the fertile space where desires are nurtured into form. These natives are here to cultivate emotional connection, beauty, and security, and to help others grow through love, patience, and care. Their karmic path involves learning to balance attachment with emotional sovereignty, and to channel their gifts not just toward self-pleasure, but toward elevating life for others. Planets in Rohini Nakshatra. When the sun is in Rohini Nakshatra, it brings a warm, charismatic presence with a strong desire to be admired, loved, and emotionally validated. These individuals often have a natural artistic flair or regal charm that makes them stand out. The creative energy of Rohini enhances the sun's ego expression, leading to pride in aesthetics, family, or achievements. However, their sense of self-worth is deeply tied to emotional security and external appreciation. Their leadership style is gentle but firm, and they often lead through nurturing or creative excellence. With the moon in Rohini, its place of exaltation, the mind becomes emotionally rich, affectionate, and highly expressive. These individuals are deeply in tune with feelings, beauty, and the rhythms of nature. They possess an intense need for emotional closeness, nurturing relationships, and a secure, beautiful environment. This is one of the most fertile and charming moon placements, producing lovers of comfort, harmony, and sensuality. Their greatest strength lies in their emotional magnetism and nurturing presence, but they must learn to avoid possessiveness or emotional dependency. When Mars is placed in Rohini, the raw drive of Mars is softened and refined. These individuals pursue their desires with patience, sensual passion, and persistent effort. Mars in Rohini often results in a slow burning intensity, especially in matters of love, ambition, or creative projects. They can be protective of loved ones and tenacious in defending what they value. Their assertiveness may manifest subtly, but it is deeply rooted. The challenge is learning to balance desire with emotional intelligence and to avoid becoming overattached to outcomes. Mercury in Rohini creates eloquent communicators with a flair for poetry, storytelling, song, and emotional persuasion. Their words carry a soothing, sensual, and artistic quality, and they may be naturally inclined toward writing, singing, branding, or diplomacy. Their intelligence is receptive and aesthetic, often concerned with how things feel as much as how they work. However, this placement may also bring a tendency to overthink emotions or become too wrapped up in interpersonal sensitivities. When Jupiter is in Rohini, it brings a benevolent, nurturing teacher or counselor archetype. These individuals often express their wisdom through creative or emotional domains, parenting, teaching, art, or food. They are generous, moral, and devoted to spiritual or emotional growth, and may serve as protectors of family values or cultural tradition. Jupiter in Rohini favors wealth, expansion, and social grace, but the challenge lies in balancing material abundance with detachment and higher spiritual purpose. With Venus in Rohini, the energy of sensual pleasure, beauty, and emotional connection is exalted. This is a deeply romantic, affectionate, and artistic placement. Individuals with this Venus are lovers of luxury, emotional intimacy, and aesthetic expression. They are often physically attractive and possess magnetic charm, drawing others through softness and refinement. However, they may also struggle with emotional possessiveness or idealism in love, expecting perfection in relationships or clinging to emotional comfort. Saturn in Rohini brings a steadying influence to the emotional richness of the nakshatra. These individuals are emotionally disciplined, loyal, and often burdened with early life responsibilities, especially in family or financial domains. While not outwardly expressive, their emotional depth is profound. Saturn in Rohini often indicates someone who nurtures through service, duty, and long-term consistency. The lesson here is to embrace emotional vulnerability without feeling that it threatens stability or dignity. Rahu in Rohini intensifies the desire for beauty, fame, affection, or emotional indulgence. These natives are often captivating and may be drawn to the entertainment world, culinary arts, fashion, or luxury business. There's a tendency to crave emotional validation or material pleasure, sometimes at the expense of deeper emotional fulfillment. If Rahu is well managed, it can produce artistic innovators or magnetic influencers. If not, it can lead to emotional escapism, overindulgence, or obsessive attachment to comfort and recognition. Ketu, in Rohini, often indicates past life experiences tied to wealth, beauty, or emotional luxury. These natives may feel disconnected from worldly pleasure in this life, or oscillate between craving it and rejecting it. There may be a subconscious resistance to attachment, even while craving intimacy. Spiritually, Ketu in Rohini leads the native to redefine emotional satisfaction, often turning inward to find nourishment through simplicity, stillness, and spiritual depth. They may become natural minimalists, mystics, or healers, especially through arts or emotional insight. In all planetary placements, Rohini refines the planet's core traits through the lens of sensuality, emotionality, beauty, and fertile growth. Whether nurturing relationships, building businesses, or expressing creativity, the planets here are called to ground their energy in heart-centered expression and material grace, anchored in the Taurus themes of stability, sensuality, and soulful abundance. The basics of Hasta Nakshatra. Hasta Nakshatra is the 13th lunar mansion in Vedic astrology, spanning from 10 degrees Virgo to 23 degrees 20 Virgo. The word Hasta means hand, and this nakshatra is symbolized by an open palm, representing skill, dexterity, offering, and manifestation. Hasta is associated with the power to grasp, hold, and shape reality through intelligent effort. It is a nakshatra of practical creativity, healing hands, and disciplined action, where divine ideas take form through human craft. Mythological deity. The presiding deity of Hasta is Savitar, a solar deity and one of the 12 Adityas. Savitar represents the inspirational, enlivening aspect of the sun, responsible for awakening intelligence, stimulating creativity, and energizing action. Under his influence, Hasta natives carry a spark of divine craftsmanship, combining insight, intention, and implementation. Savitar gives them the ability to bless others, guide with clarity, and manifest goals with conscious hands-on effort. Shakti, power. Hasta holds the Hasta Grahana Shakti, the power to gain what one desires and place it in one's hands. This Shakti relates to the ability to materialize, accomplish, and bring ideas into form through hard work and intelligent use of resources. It gives Hasta a pragmatic, disciplined, and skilled energy that favors professions requiring precision, service, and mastery of tools, whether literal or metaphorical. Ruler. The planetary ruler of Hasta is the moon, giving this nakshatra a sensitive, receptive, and nurturing undercurrent beneath its Virgo and pragmatism. The moon here operates through calm observation, emotional intuition, and gentle service, often leading the native to heal, teach, or comfort through practical engagement. Combined with Virgo's analytical nature, this moon produces emotionally intelligent doers who serve with both heart and hands, often blending logic with empathy in their approach. Span and star reference. Span 10 through 23 3 20 Virgo. Star reference Delta, Gamma, Epsilon, Zeta, and Theta Corvi in the Corvus constellation. These stars form the shape of a curved wing or hand, reflecting Hasta's themes of grasping, crafting, and holding sacred knowledge. The Corvus, Crow constellation is also symbolic of cleverness, memory, and service, traits strongly reflected in Hasta's character. The four padas of Hasta Nakshatra. Each pada, quarter of Hasta, refines the nakshatra's capacity for disciplined creation, skilled service, and emotionally intelligent effort, depending on its Navamsa disposition. Pada 1, 10 degrees 0 to 13 degrees 20 Virgo. Navamsa, Aries, Mars, nature, energetic, focused, pioneering, and service. These natives are driven to act, often applying their skills to dynamic or healing work. Their hands may work in medicine, sports therapy, or mechanical arts. Pada 2, 13 point to 640 Virgo. Navam Taurus, Venus, nature, steady, artistic, sensually refined. This is the most aesthetic and nurturing expression of Hasta. These natives may work with touch, design, or comfort-based healing, such as massage, interior art, or culinary therapy. Pada 3, 60 40 20 20 Taurus Virgo. Gemini. Opposite Mercury. Nature communicative, intelligent, skillful. These individuals are master communicators and dexterous thinkers, often excelling in writing, craft, marketing, or strategic planning. Their hands are verbal as much as literal. Pada 4, 20 0 to 23 Virgo. Vamsa, Cancer. Moon, nature, emotionally perceptive, healing, nurturing. This is the most sensitive and service-oriented section of Hasta. Natives here offer care through hands-on healing, counseling, or emotional caretaking, often acting as empaths in physical form. Hasta Nakshatra represents the sacred marriage between intuition and action, where the soul's quiet knowing is translated into skillful work, healing touch, and purposeful motion. Natives of this nakshatra are here to serve, heal, and manifest, not through showy brilliance, but through precise, humble, and consistent craftsmanship. Their karmic journey is to understand that true mastery lies not just in the hand, but in the heart that guides it. Hasta Nakshatra characteristics. Hasta natives are skilled, perceptive, and service-oriented individuals who possess a rare ability to combine emotional intelligence with practical action. Ruled by the moon and presided over by Savitar, the solar deity of creative awakening and inspiration, Hasta bridges the inner realm of intuition with the outer world of action. These individuals often express themselves through their hands, whether through healing, building, teaching, writing, or nurturing, and carry a natural instinct for precision, care, and subtle influence. Psychologically, Hasta-born individuals are attentive, observant, and highly responsive to their environment. They often notice the small details others miss, both externally and emotionally. This makes them emotionally perceptive and naturally supportive, often anticipating others' needs before they are expressed. They are cautious decision makers, preferring to test the waters before committing, and value stability, structure, and hands-on experience over vague theory or impulsive choices. In relationships, Hasta natives are devoted, thoughtful, and emotionally nurturing, though their love often shows up in practical rather than poetic forms. They may not always express feelings through grand romantic gestures, but rather through consistent acts of service, physical care, and quiet presence. Their partners often feel looked after and emotionally supported, even if the native struggles to articulate their feelings verbally. Their challenge is learning to share emotional vulnerability, not just provide support from behind the scenes. Professionally, Hasta individuals excel in service roles, skilled trades, healing arts, and communication-based professions. Their hands are often their tools, used in medicine, crafts, writing, massage therapy, manual healing, or even precision-based design work. They are meticulous and often set high standards for their output, sometimes becoming perfectionists. They thrive in roles that allow them to solve problems, organize systems, or care for others, often working tirelessly behind the scenes. Socially, they tend to be polite, discreet, and humble, though they possess a subtle charm that makes them quietly magnetic. They prefer small, meaningful circles over large, showy gatherings, and often connect best with those who value substance over spectacle. They are great listeners and often become trusted confidantes or advisors, though they may sometimes struggle with overextending themselves in caretaking roles if personal boundaries aren't maintained. Creatively, Hasta natives are often gifted with manual precision and aesthetic sensitivity. Their talents may express through writing, sculpture, crafts, handwork, or energy healing, where detail and care are essential. Their creativity tends to be rooted in purpose. They are less interested in abstract beauty and more in how their creativity can help, heal, or improve something tangible. Their art is often calming, detailed, and emotionally intelligent. Emotionally, they are private and composed, preferring to process feelings quietly rather than openly dramatize them. They may suppress emotion at times in favor of staying in control or maintaining peace, but underneath lies a deep well of empathy and sensitivity. Their growth involves learning to trust emotional release and embrace moments of receptivity without guilt. recognizing that being cared for is just as important as caregiving. At a soul level, Hasta Nakshatra represents the sacred precision of divine service, where every gesture, every word, every effort becomes a conduit for healing and harmony. These individuals are here to bring light through action, wisdom through care, and devotion through skill. Their karmic purpose is to transform the ordinary into the sacred, through hands that heal, minds that observe, and hearts that serve in silence. Planets in Hasta Nakshatra. When the sun is placed in Hasta, it gives individuals a steady, skillful, and service-oriented expression of authority. These people are hands-on leaders, often preferring to work behind the scenes rather than seek the spotlight. They possess keen organizational abilities and a deep sense of personal responsibility. The sun here expresses leadership through service, craft, or teaching, often in health, counseling, or systems management. If imbalanced, this placement may manifest as over-controlling tendencies or pride in micromanagement. When aligned, it produces humble visionaries who lead by example. With the moon in Hasta, the emotional nature becomes observant, practical, and nurturing through action. These individuals are emotionally attuned, but they express care more through doing than saying. They often show affection by offering help, managing tasks, or healing others physically or emotionally. The moon here favors calm, structured environments and may feel anxious without order or productivity. If imbalanced, emotional suppression or over-responsiveness may arise. At its best, this placement produces emotionally intelligent caretakers and intuitive healers. When Mars is in Hasta, energy is channeled into skill development, problem-solving, and action through the hands. These individuals are often technically gifted, physically coordinated, and quick to respond to practical challenges. Mars here gives a quiet but forceful drive, often applied to craftsmanship, martial arts, medical professions, or athletics. They are highly efficient, though at times may suppress anger or become passive-aggressive if emotional expression is blocked. Balanced Mars in Hasta is a master of action with refined precision. Mercury in Hasta is one of its most effective placements, giving a sharp mind, skilled hands, and graceful communication. These individuals are highly articulate, tactful, and persuasive, especially in roles involving writing, design, speech, education, or strategic planning. Their intellect is grounded in practical problem-solving and clear analysis, and they often become excellent advisors, editors, or technical writers. If afflicted, Mercury here can lead to overthinking, critical speech, or anxious communication patterns. At its peak, this is the placement of the master communicator and technical artisan. Jupiter in Hasta brings wisdom into service, humility into leadership, and spirituality into daily routine. These individuals are often spiritual teachers, counselors, or community healers who guide others through practical knowledge and compassionate action. They value rituals, daily discipline, and personal ethics, and are often drawn to healthcare, education, or social justice work. Jupiter here may feel more subdued, but offers grounded wisdom that transforms ordinary tasks into sacred offerings. Venus in Hasta expresses love through practical gestures, acts of service, and aesthetic functionality. These individuals are sensual in a subtle, refined way, often preferring soft beauty, hands-on creativity, and emotional safety in relationships. They may be drawn to craftwork, fashion design, body therapies, or healing arts. Venus here seeks partnership rooted in shared purpose, but can sometimes struggle with expressing emotional needs openly. When balanced, it creates a partner who is devoted, refined, and nurturing through hands and heart. Saturn in Hasta emphasizes discipline, humility, and karmic service through work and hands-on contribution. These individuals often face early life responsibilities or karmic themes related to service, but over time develop mastery, steadiness, and reliability. Saturn here excels in systematic roles, caregiving professions, or long-term craftsmanship, especially in healing or administrative settings. If afflicted, it can cause emotional rigidity or fear of inadequacy. In strength, it produces patient healers, karmic taskmasters, or wise service leaders. With Rahu in Hasta, there is a strong drive to perfect skills, gain mastery through effort, and be recognized for service or technical contribution. These individuals may be drawn to alternative healing methods, mysticism through craft, or ambitious roles that require a meticulous performance. Rahu may give them a hunger for mastery, but also restlessness or a feeling of not being good enough. When matured, this placement produces visionary craftspeople, innovative therapists, or breakthrough-level healers. Ketu in Hasta brings past life mastery of skills, service, and healing arts, often with a deep inner detachment from worldly recognition. These individuals may feel called to serve quietly, often avoiding praise or limelight. There's a spiritual quality to their actions. What they do with their hands may carry ancestral, karmic, or soul-level resonance. If unevolved, Ketu may manifest as isolation or a sense of being underappreciated. But at its highest, it produces selfless healers, spiritual craftspeople, or subtle energy workers who offer transformation without seeking credit. Across all planetary placements, Hasta asks each Gra to express itself through skillful hands, humble service, emotional maturity, and quiet mastery. The path here is not one of loud declarations, but of steady, sacred contribution, where healing, leadership, love, or knowledge flows not just from the mind or heart, but through the gift of the hand guided by divine intelligence. The basics of Shravana Nakshatra. Shravana Nakshatra is the 22nd lunar mansion in Vedic astrology, spanning from 10 degree zeros to 23D20 Capricorn. The word Shravana means to hear or that which is heard, highlighting its deep association with listening, learning, and sacred transmission. Symbolized by the ear, Shravana represents receptivity, not just to sound, but to wisdom, mantras, and divine guidance. It is where structured knowledge becomes spiritually meaningful and where inner and outer truths are received and remembered. This nakshatra is the bridge between knowledge and knowing. The presiding deity of Shravana is Vishnu, the divine preserver of the universe, associated with dharma, cosmic law, and the sustaining of order. Vishnu's presence imbues this nakshatra with devotion, order, and a desire to uphold righteousness through humble service. Shravana natives often feel called to protect sacred knowledge or carry forward spiritual traditions, acting as custodians of wisdom in both subtle and societal realms. They have a natural orientation toward maintenance, tradition, and sacred listening. The Shakti of Shravana is Samhanana Shakti, the power to connect and bring people together. This is a nakshatra of networking, unification, and bridging between traditions, generations, ideas, or spiritual paths. It grants the ability to assemble pieces into a coherent whole, making Shravana natives excellent storytellers, educators, spiritual guides, or mediators. Whether through sound, story, or presence, they help others find order, purpose, and spiritual belonging. Ruled by the moon, Shravana carries a gentle, nurturing energy that is emotionally intelligent, empathic, and reflective. The moon here is not emotional for its own sake. It is tuned to deeper rhythms, sacred vibrations, and ancestral memory. These individuals often have a deep inner world shaped by what they absorb from their environment, and they must be cautious of emotional overload or the need to please everyone. In its balanced state, this lunar rulership gives them intuitive compassion, peace-giving presence, and healing resonance. Situated entirely in Capricorn, Shravana blends Saturn's structure with the moon's sensitivity. This creates a unique combination of responsibility and reflection. These natives often carry emotional maturity and a sense of sacred duty, but also wrestle with balancing worldly obligations with inner calling. Capricorn grounds Shravana's ethereal listening into structured formats: ritual, teaching, service, or governance. It represents the crystallization of inner wisdom into outer impact. Shravana natives are often drawn to spiritual, educational, or service-oriented professions. They may be priests, teachers, counselors, translators, mediators, or spiritual caregivers, those who guide others not by commanding but by offering. Their path often involves self-sacrifice, devotion, and the patient cultivation of wisdom. They are often repositories of ancestral guidance or spiritual knowledge, either through memory, lineage, or intuitive transmission. Challenges for Shravana include over-responsibility, emotional suppression, or becoming too passive or people-pleasing in their efforts to maintain harmony. They may struggle with expressing their own needs while holding space for others. Their growth lies in learning to receive as well as give. to trust their inner knowing as much as external guidance, and to speak truth even when it risks disapproval. Their evolution is toward embodying compassion with boundaries and devotion with strength. At a soul level, Shravana Nakshatra represents the sacred listener, the one who holds the silence in which truth is revealed. These individuals are the stewards of wisdom, memory, and spiritual continuity. Their karmic role is to receive, remember, and transmit divine knowledge, to listen deeply to life's unspoken messages, and to guide others not through command, but through resonance, presence, and quiet grace. Shravana Nakshatra characteristics. Shravana Nakshatra natives are introspective, wise, and service-oriented individuals who carry a natural aptitude for listening, learning, and transmitting sacred knowledge. Governed by the moon and presided over by Lord Vishnu, these individuals blend emotional sensitivity with spiritual receptivity, often becoming quiet bearers of tradition, philosophy, or guidance. Their lives are marked by a search for meaning through sound, be it mantra, music, or wise speech. Whether as counselors, educators, spiritual practitioners, or silent supporters, they embody the grace of those who transform silence into sacred wisdom. Psychologically, they are emotionally intuitive, reflective, and thoughtful. They absorb more than they express, and this internal depth allows them to process experience through layers of symbolic and emotional meaning. Their minds are often oriented toward memory, myth, and storytelling, enabling them to pass on values and truths across generations. However, their empathic nature can sometimes lead to emotional burden or suppression if they absorb others' pain without strong boundaries. With maturity, they develop deep emotional wisdom and an inner calm that makes them natural stabilizers. In relationships, Shravana natives are nurturing, dependable, and loyal. They communicate love through presence, attentiveness, and emotional resonance. For them, being heard and understood matters more than dramatic displays of affection. They often seek partners who are grounded, spiritually aware, or willing to grow in tandem. Their relational style tends to be steady and devotional, though they may withdraw emotionally when overwhelmed. Their growth comes through learning to express their own needs with clarity and to give from fullness, not depletion. Creatively, they shine in fields where communication, rhythm, and symbolic transmission matter. They may gravitate toward music, language, ritual arts, translation, spiritual teaching, or caregiving professions. Their creativity is subtle and devotional, often emerging through patient cultivation rather than dramatic bursts. They are particularly gifted in preserving cultural or spiritual heritage, often finding deep fulfillment in roles that maintain continuity, such as teachers, priests, editors, or record keepers. Socially, Shravana natives are respected for their wisdom, discretion, and reliability. They may not be loud or dominant in groups, but their quiet depth draws others to them for counsel and comfort. People often feel emotionally safe in their presence, sensing their ability to listen without judgment and guide without ego. They may form strong bonds across generations or with mentors and spiritual elders, playing the role of transmitter between the past and the future. Emotionally, they are compassionate and receptive, yet can become emotionally saturated or overwhelmed if they do not create space for release and reflection. Their emotional evolution often requires solitude, sacred sound, or spiritual retreat. They are soothed by music, mantras, or quiet connection with nature. Emotional pain is often transmuted into wisdom or spiritual service, especially when they learn to let go of the burden of constantly needing to understand or fix others. Challenges for Shravana include emotional dependency, people-pleasing, or passivity. In their deep desire to unify, they may lose sight of their own individuality or fail to take decisive action. Their growth lies in discerning when to listen and when to speak, when to support, and when to step back. They must learn that true service comes not from silence alone, but from conscious engagement with both self and others. Emotional self-respect becomes their gateway to deeper spiritual fulfillment. At a soul level, Shravana Nakshatra represents the vessel of divine sound, the one who hears the voice of truth in silence, and who carries sacred memory forward through humble service. These individuals are not here to dominate, but to preserve, guide, and harmonize. Their karmic mission is to be bridges between worlds, between past and future, spirit and form, silence and speech, reminding humanity that what is heard with reverence can become what is lived with grace. Planets in Shravana Nakshatra. When the sun is in Shravana, it gives rise to individuals who shine through wisdom, humility, and devotional leadership. Their identity is built not on dominance, but on service, teaching, and preserving sacred knowledge. These natives often find purpose in guiding others quietly through institutions, rituals, or educational systems. The sun here is less about ego and more about radiating steady light in service of higher order. If unbalanced, it may manifest as insecurity cloaked in spiritual superiority or the urge to be seen as the knower. When matured, the sun in Shravana produces guardians of tradition who lead with quiet radiance and inner truth. With the moon in Shravana, emotional life becomes deeply attuned to memory, sound, and sacred rhythms. These individuals are emotionally receptive and nurturing, often functioning as emotional anchors in families or communities. Their inner world is rich with ancestral echoes, intuitive insights, and a natural connection to mantras, music, or oral tradition. If unbalanced, they may feel emotionally burdened or overly responsible for others' peace. When harmonized, the moon in Shravana creates gentle, emotional leaders who heal through presence, empathy, and wise listening. Mars in Shravana brings a focused and disciplined drive to uphold Dharma through action rooted in knowledge. These individuals often act as protectors of tradition, law, or sacred systems. Mars here isn't impulsive, it's purposeful, often channeling energy into structured disciplines like Vedic ritual, martial arts, healing, or public service. If afflicted, this placement can create passive-aggressive behavior, internalized frustration, or spiritual arrogance. In its higher form, Mars in Shravana embodies the warrior-scholar archetype, calm, strategic, and fiercely devoted to sacred duty. Mercury in Shravana produces articulate communicators with a gift for storytelling, teaching, and preserving sacred texts or ancestral wisdom. These natives are natural linguists, translators, and mediators who communicate with precision and emotional depth. Their words often carry the weight of memory or devotion. At times, Mercury here may become overly cautious, reserved, or emotionally reactive in speech. When evolved, it gives rise to spiritual communicators, ethical advisors, and healers of speech who speak truth with gentleness and clarity. Jupiter in Shravana enhances the qualities of a wise teacher, spiritual guide, or moral authority grounded in humility. These individuals are natural transmitters of timeless knowledge, Vedic, philosophical, or educational. Jupiter here seeks to expand through devotion, pilgrimage, or structured learning. If unevolved, this placement may create dogmatic tendencies or a blind following of tradition. In its highest expression, it gives rise to compassionate mentors and visionaries who carry the voice of Dharma with both clarity and kindness. Venus in Shravana seeks beauty that uplifts, refines, and preserves. Love is experienced as devotion, ritual, or emotional resonance. These individuals are romantic in a soft, devotional sense, drawn to partners who value harmony, shared tradition, and quiet emotional depth. They may also be drawn to sacred music, artistic storytelling, or aesthetic practices tied to spiritual growth. If immature, Venus here can lead to emotional idealism or dependency masked as devotion. When balanced, it produces partners, artists, and peacemakers who blend love with emotional wisdom. Saturn in Shravana creates a path of emotional discipline, spiritual responsibility, and humble service. These individuals often face early life hardships related to emotional expression, family tradition, or spiritual duty. Yet through these trials, they develop profound resilience and ethical stability. Saturn here can bring slow emotional healing, karmic responsibilities around family or lineage, and a sense of being a vessel for ancestral work. If unrefined, it may manifest as emotional withdrawal or duty-bound rigidity. When evolved, Saturn in Shravana produces sacred custodians, devoted servants of tradition, and guides who lead through perseverance and integrity. With Rahu in Shravana, there's an intense desire to gain mastery over sacred knowledge, healing arts, or public communication. These individuals may crave spiritual recognition, institutional status, or mastery over language, mantras, or media. Rahu here tests whether their voice serves ego or truth. If unbalanced, it can lead to spiritual materialism, false humility, or distortion of wisdom for fame. When matured, Rahu in Shravana produces brilliant communicators and cultural reformers who modernize ancient truths while honoring their roots. Ketu in Shravana suggests past life mastery of ritual, sacred speech, or emotional service. These individuals may instinctively withdraw from worldly communication or institutional roles, seeking solace in solitude, pilgrimage, or inner listening. There can be a quiet renunciate energy, one who knows the value of silence and whose wisdom emerges from inward retreat. If imbalanced, it may produce emotional isolation, suppressed expression, or disillusionment with outer tradition. When awakened, Ketu in Shravana becomes the silent sage, the one who listens deeply, speaks rarely, and teaches without words. Planets in Shravana Nakshatra are challenged to express through sacred listening, emotional integrity, and devoted communication. Whether expressed through speech, action, guidance, or art, each graha in Shravana carries the karmic call to become a vessel for wisdom, not through assertion, but through reception. This is the nakshatra of preservation, of voice, values, and sacred story, where the most profound power lies not in being heard, but in truly hearing what the soul has always known.